This is Paul Fromm, and I'm with the Canada First Immigration Reform Committee. Today I'd like to talk to you about advertising and race. Advertising, of course, is all around us, on TV, newspapers, radio, even posters and billboards. And increasingly, I have noticed a trend in North America where advertising denigrates white people, puts white people down, makes white people, especially white men, look stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, I have a good sense of humor, and humor can be used very effectively to get attention in an ad. For instance, a neutral ad that I have no problem with are the ads for Geico with the lizard. The Geico lizard. Okay, it's kind of humorous, kind of engaging. I have no problem with humor. But some types of humor seem to just target white people. Have you noticed in ads how often white people, in dealing with minorities, or especially white males, are made to look stupid? There was an advertisement a couple of years back for one of the major U.S. courier companies. I think it was FedEx, but I'm not 100% certain on that. And the scenario was this. There are these two really stupid-looking white men with jug ears and so on, and they're in the shipping room, and they're trying to doctor I guess it's the postal meter, so that they want to backdate it. No, they want to forward date it, so that when the shipment arrives, it will look as though it was sent just the day before. Well, of course, this isn't going to work. But in comes this ever so bright Negro, and he says, well, but haven't you heard of whatever it is, let's say FedEx, they'll get the parcel there tomorrow. And okay, that solves the problem. But notice, white people, stupid, the problem solver, black. And if it was only one ad, I'd say, well, okay, there are some silly, not very bright white people, and there's some intelligent third worlders. But it's not one ad. It's a pattern. You've probably seen some of the ads for the Canadian banks. One scenario had this not very bright white couple. They were looking for a mortgage, and they read a piece of information from the bank, but they didn't really understand it. But they're kind of talking between themselves about it. And the mortgage officer happens to be a Negro woman with real close cropped hair, and she's listening to them, and she looks indulgently at these not very bright people, and she invites them into her office, and she sets them straight, and so on. So problem solved by a third worlder, and to help stupid white people. You see, there's a bit of a pattern here. Well, most recently, there's an ad out by Maple Leaf Foods. Now, Maple Leaf Foods is one of Canada's major meat packers, and it markets a wide variety of meats. I'm not very pleased with Maple Leaf Foods because they run packing plants and fill them up with recently recruited third world immigrants, many of them from Africa. Why can't they, or why won't they get and pay Canadian workers? I don't know, but anyway, that's not actually the point I want to make. Right now they're really promoting bacon, and they have this ad, and it appears to be two college students, and there's this crafty East Indian, and he's got a pile of books, and they're all over the place, and he's bought himself one of these probably IKEA bookshelves, but the bookshelf has to be assembled. Well, he either can't do it or doesn't want to do it, and so he decides he's going to recruit his roommate. Now, his roommate is a big, blonde, dumb-looking guy. I think his name is Mel, but it doesn't matter what his name is. Mel isn't too bright. But the crafty East Indian knows how to get Mel to work for him. He makes him a bacon sandwich, so he lays on all the bacon and gives it to Mel. Well, that's all it takes for Mel. Mel works really hard and builds a shelf for the East Indian, and who kind of laughs at good old Mel. So, see the pattern? Stupid white guy, and the person with the brains of the operation is a third worlder. And I thought, even as an ad for bacon, does this really work? The message seems to be, if you want to eat bacon, you're stupid. I'm not sure that's the point they want to make. But the pattern of stupid white person. Let's imagine a similar ad. Let's say it's a company that imports watermelons. Now, this company has an ad, and in the ad, you have this big, hulking, not very bright Negro. And you have his crafty white friend. And the friend wants something done. Let's say he wants some boxes, heavy boxes moved. So how's he going to get his Negro friend or whatever to move the boxes? I know, he's going to give him some big slices of watermelon. And then we see this Negro eating the watermelon and goes off and totes the boxes, and the white guy's kind of chortling that he managed to get the Negro to do all this work for just a piece of watermelon. Now, can you imagine that ad? Well, yeah, you and I both know that isn't going to happen. And if there was such an ad, if somehow the watermelon importing company put that ad up on TV, well, I think it would last like about 1 hour. And what would happen? Well, first of all, the TV channel, the advertising manager would probably be fired. Whoever designed the ad would lose his job. Probably the president of the watermelon company would lose his job, but if he didn't, he'd probably fire the advertising manager. He would go on television and grovel and apologize. He'd probably set up a special Negro scholarship fund and send all his workers off to political indoctrination sessions so that they would learn the joys of diversity. And you know what I'm saying is true. First of all, there wouldn't be such an ad. Why? Well, because it makes blacks look stupid and whites smart, right? Well, then, why would there be why would a mainstream company authorize an ad that makes white people look stupid in dealings with, in this case, with a crafty East Indian? Final example. I was out in British Columbia recently, and I saw a poster in the BC liquor store, and the poster urges that pregnant women to avoid or be very careful about alcohol. Now, okay, so far so good. Probably a good message. Now, the strategy in advertising like that is to try to target or relate to the group that you're trying to target, in this case, women of childbearing age. You wouldn't, for instance, very effectively have an ad where two older white guys are talking about the issue. That's not going to engage your target audience, which is women in the childbearing years. So, okay, let's see what they did with the ad. The ad had a couple. The husband, I guess he's the husband, kind of looking, I wouldn't say adoringly, but caringly into the eyes of his wife, who presumably is pregnant. So far, so good. That's a good idea that women in the childbearing years can relate to that situation. Except, the man is East Indian. The woman, the wife presumably, Oriental. There seems to be an agenda here. If the agenda was to say it's best to tone down the alcohol use in pregnancy, no problem. Why the choice of that couple? They're not typical. That's not your average couple. In fact, race-mixed couples are very much a small minority. And that mix, East Indian and Oriental, even rarer. I'm not sure it's even effective for those groups. In general, the Orientals don't particularly like the East Indians, and the East Indians don't particularly like the Orientals. Most Chinese would like their daughter to come home with a Chinese guy. Most East Indians want their son to come home with an East Indian girl. Neither of the parents in this little scenario would probably be all that happy. I consider the choice of a couple to be rather dissonant, an obstruction to the actual message. So why would an advertising company do that? And why would a major organization like the BC Liquor Stores accept that? Because there is an agenda. Advertising vigorously promotes interracial sex, race mixing. It's an agenda. Even though from an advertising point of view, I don't think it's all that effective in getting the message across. We've got a lot to talk about, and we'll talk about it further. Keep an eye on those ads, and if you don't like what you see, get on the blower and let them know. This is Paul Fromm for the Canada First Immigration Reform Committee.